Since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you and asking God to fill you with the knowledge of His will through all spiritual wisdom and understanding. Colossians 1 verse 9. Paul rejoiced that in the past, these believers had come to a knowledge of the gospel of grace. In the present they were demonstrating the love of Christ in their lives, as they looked to the future with joyful hope, knowing that one day they would ever be with the Lord. The Colossian believers had embraced the glorious gospel of grace, which was given to us by God, and revealed to us all through His holy apostles and prophets. The result in the lives of these Christians was the production of fruit, more fruit, much spiritual fruit. And how this rejoiced the heart of Christ's faithful bondservant. It was because of their sincere faith in the gospel, their future hope in God's promises, the abundance of fruit being produced in their lives, and the deep love they had for one another, that Paul did not cease to pray for them and to ask that they might be filled with the knowledge of God's will in all spiritual wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Paul prayed that each believer would walk worthy before the Lord, be granted spiritual wisdom and insight, and develop a contented and thankful heart. He also asked that these believers would be granted the power that only comes from above, an inner strength that is perfected in us as we depend on the Lord in all things. Paul's intercession spans the centuries and continues to be answered by God for all who abide in Christ and trust in the Lord with all their heart. May this prayer be answered in our lives and the lives of those we love. May we live as unto the Lord, with sincere faith, godly love, and a glorious hope that is laid up for us in heaven. And so, from the day we heard, we have not ceased to pray for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding. This verse is part of the opening section of the letter where the Apostle Paul expresses his thanksgiving and prayers for the Colossian believers. Let's break down the key components. And so, from the day we heard, Paul is referring to the time when he first heard about the faith of the Colossian Christians. This suggests that he has been consistently praying for them since he learned about their faith. We have not ceased to pray for you. This emphasizes the ongoing and persistent nature of Paul's prayers for the Colossian believers. It underscores his deep concern for their spiritual well-being. Asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of His will. The primary focus of Paul's prayer is that the Colossians would have a deep understanding of God's will. This knowledge is not merely intellectual but is connected to a practical understanding of how to live in accordance with God's plan, in all spiritual wisdom and understanding. This indicates that the knowledge Paul desires for them is not worldly or superficial but is rooted in spiritual wisdom. It involves a discerning understanding of God's ways and purposes. In summary, Colossians 1 verse 9 reflects Paul's ongoing prayer for the Colossian believers, expressing a desire for them to be filled with a deep, spiritual understanding of God's will, characterized by wisdom and discernment.